it.
What's up, 7th graders? It's Mrs. Salati.
And Mrs. Cervantes.
And together we are
Mrs. Cervati.
Okay, so check this out. Today is a 6th grade review day. I need you to understand this. 6.2, solving one-step equations with integers. You guys were exposed to this. Well, I say exposed because, again, it depends on how much you went to school last year, of solving one-step equations. So, 7th grade is more dealing with rational numbers such as fractions and decimals. So we are going to baby step this just a little bit. First thing to know, inverse operations are operations, oh, I hate when the pen goes crazy. Operations that undo each other. Okay? So if you think about a positive or addition and subtraction undo each other, let's box these in. So they are inverse of one another. And then multiplication and division are inverse of one another. Okay, so this will make a little bit more sense when we get into the actual solving of the equations. And then remember that the coefficient is the number multiplied by the variable. Remember, you can see it in different forms, such as if I just gave you an x, you should know that the coefficient is a 1. Look at that there.
Mm-hmm.
If I gave you a 2x, the coefficient is a 2. If I gave you a negative 4y, the coefficient is a negative 4. It is the number with the variable.
So then I had a question today, and it was a good point. You can have a 1/2. You can have
yeah.
a fraction. Or like 2/3 x, what's your coefficient is the 2/3. Okay, and then you can have like a negative 6.4 p, and then your coefficient is negative 6.4. Yeah, I didn't think about going over that. Yeah.
And you guys need to make sure this is all written down. Please, please, please. Okay, so now listen. Oh, God, this is a battle we are not going to fight. Now listen, Cervantes and I know where we are taking you in 7th grade, in 8th grade, and once you hit 9th grade in algebra. Okay? So we know, do you hear me loud and clear? We know, is this thing on? That you can tell us what number plus 7 is 15. Okay? We know this.
But you're not going to do that.
No.
You're going to write. The biggest problem with learning how to do these, we're teaching you with the most basic, which we know you could tell us what number plus 7 is 15. What we're teaching you right now is the steps. What steps do you take to find the value of x, of m, of y, of n, of the unknown, the variable? All we're teaching you is the steps. So follow the steps and write exactly what Ms. Talati's writing.
And if you tell us that, I swear, because we're going to get this about 15 times asked, I can do this in my head. We know. 7th graders, we hope you can do this in your head.
But you should be able to.
Right. We know that when we get to multi-step equations, and you can ask any one of our 8th graders or any one of our kids that have had us in class, those multi-step equations get to be up to 10 terms, even bigger, right? Where you can't do them in your head. So please, 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 we'll know.
And we struggled with combining like terms. So that's when they get big. When they get big like that, you all struggle. So what she's saying is these are going to look bigger and harder. And so then it's going to be difficult as well, okay?
Okay, so what we're looking at doing is balance our equation, okay? So when we say balance, whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. The equal sign is what splits our equation into the two sides. We want to get this x isolated. We're trying to isolate the x. So we look at this positive 7, okay? We're looking at plus 7. The opposite of a plus 7 is a subtract 7, okay? Whatever I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other side of the equation.
The other side of the equal side.
Yes.
Some people try to do it to the same side. No, other side of the equal sign.
With trying to get our x by ourselves, because a positive 7 and a negative 7 cancel out. So then we bring down our x equals 15 minus 7 is an 8. Now listen, we also want you to get the routine of you have to know how to check your solutions. So if I say that x is 8, I can plug in an 8 for the x. So instead of x, I'm writing 8, and check it by addition. 8 plus 7 is 15, so 15 equals 15. We know that we did our equation right.
Okay, same thing again. If you're looking at m minus 12 equals 28, we know you can do that. If you want to do this, you can do this too. If you're looking here, your goal is to get the m by itself. Should we say isolate the variable?
Yeah. That should have been a key term I added in there.
Isolate the variable. You guys know what isolate means? Get it by itself, right? Okay, and then Ms. Talati said you have to keep it balanced, so whatever you do to one side, you do the other. So I need to use my inverse operations to get rid of this minus 12. I want to get rid of minus 12 so that m is all by itself. So to get rid of a minus 12, I would add 12, okay? If I add 12 to the left side of the equal sign, I have to also add 12 to the right. So what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Now, when you look here as if you're adding down, negative 12 plus positive 12 gives you 0, so it just cancels out. The only thing you have left is m equals, and then 28 plus 12 gives you what, 40? So m is 40, and then the most important part Ms. Talati just said is check it. So if m is 40, 40 minus 12 should give you 28. And does it match? Yes. Okay?
Now you guys can see they're going to progressively get a little bit more difficult because we also have to practice. That is a terrible straight line. Or not straight line, I should say. Now we got to be able to identify with positive and negative numbers, right? So again, I'm trying to isolate my y. So that means that negative 15 or that subtract 15 that's on the same side, I need to move it. So if I add a 15 to one side, I have to add a 15 to the other side. These cancel out. Y equals. Now you guys got to go back to, these are different signs, right? So different signs mean we subtract the numbers. I'm going to subtract 27 minus 15 is going to give me a 12. And then we take sign of larger number. So our answer is going to be a negative. Now this is where checking the solution might be critical for you. If I plug this in and I say negative 12 minus 15, remember that's the same thing as negative 12 plus a negative 15, which means we add and keep sign, and that does in fact give us a negative 27. Okay, so again, you got to slow down with positive and negative numbers.
Okay, so same thing here again. So I'm going to draw my center. There's my center. I have n over here. I need to isolate n. How do you get rid of a positive 27? You pair it with a negative 27. What you do to one side, the left side, you need to do to the right side. So minus 27, just think of this as adding down. N plus nothing is n. 27 and negative 27 is 0, but you don't have to write 0. You can just cancel them out. Negative and a negative, same signs, add and keep. So 7 and 2 is 9, 4 and 2 is 6. Negative and negative, keep it. So n is negative 69. Check your answer. So n, which is negative 69 plus 27 equals negative 42. Let's check it. Come off on the side and subtract. So if you pull these out and subtract them, what do you get? 42, and then the sign on the bigger group is negative, so negative 42 is equal to negative 42. So you know that works, so then you can say that's your answer. Okay? All right. Is that it?
Nope, we got a couple of multiplication and division.
Oh, we're doing it all at once, huh?
Because you're just integers. So again, you guys, now I look at, God, I do this every single time. 4x is multiplication, right? So to undo multiplication, I'm going to divide. Remember, fraction bars are division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is a 1x. 1x is the same thing as x. 44 divided by 4 is an 11. Okay, so same type of thing. If I go back and plug it in, 4 times 11, because I plugged in an 11 for my x, right, should equal 44. And look at that, it does. Okay?
Okay, and then again, so negative 5 times x, how do you undo multiplication? Division. And then what do you divide by? We want to get rid of negative 5, so we're dividing by negative 5. What you do to one side, you do to the other. X is equal to, then you have a positive divided by a negative is a negative. 40 divided by 5 is 8. X is negative 8, and then test it out. Negative 5, and then if x is negative 8, a negative times a negative is a positive, and 8 times 5 is 40, so it checks out. Okay, now let's look at division.
Okay, so now this is a fraction, it's division, right? So ultimately what we do to get rid of this is we multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so see how 8 is a denominator? If I reciprocate my fraction, it's now my numerator because these cancel out. Well, I do the same thing to the other side. Right? This is really a 4 over 1. You don't have to write them over 1. just know y you multiply by the reciprocal. So then I get y equals 4 times 8 is 32. When I go back and check my solution, 32 over, is that an 8, equals 4. Okay, so again, you're multiplying by the reciprocal on the fractions.
Okay, same idea here, m divided by negative 6. So instead of the inverse of dividing by negative 6 is multiplying by negative 6. You can cancel those out. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So you get m equals, positive and a negative is a negative. If you want to break this apart, 10 times 6 is 60, 3 times 6 is 18, so that gives you 78. If you want to break it out, if you want to do it this way, you can do it this way to get your 78, however you want to do it. Check your answer. Negative 78 divided by negative 6, is it equal to 13? Well, let's check it. 78, oops, we don't even need to do that. Hold on. We don't need our signs. 78 divided by 6 goes once. Subtract 3. Yep, do you get 13? So then you know that's your answer. So m equals negative 78. And just check your signs.
Now we went quick. We gave you 8 problems, 8 examples to help you solve and use these 4 problems to do.
Okay, the other thing, if you're stuck, you guys aren't using your resources, try and use your resource. We're going to go over this in class tomorrow, the next day we see you. But use your resources. You could look up one-step equations online and you could find umpteen thousands of videos on how to help. Figure out, if you can't do it, figure out a way to watch someone doing it just to get you front loading for it to help you out for tomorrow.
These should be pretty easy, especially with just the integers. So good luck and we will see you in class. Oh, I can't get it to stop.